All right, so the legislative session, about a week away. You're getting ready to gear up and head over to Boise to do some work. Let's first of all talk about your committee assignment, JFAC. What's your feelings on that as you get real close now to the legislative session?
Well, Aaron, we are getting ready for the legislative session. It starts next Monday on the 10th, and it is basically here. There will be a few members as well as myself going over to Boise later this week to participate and to hear the presentations that will be presented to the Economic Outlook Committee, which always takes place the week before the actual session starting. But yes, JFAC, Joint Finance Appropriation Committee, to me was a huge assignment, and it's a huge learning curve, and that's why I've already been to work on it ever since that assignment was made, and I look forward to learning and to wrapping my arms around the budgets and helping out the chairs and the other colleagues on the committee as much as possible.
It must be kind of daunting to go into this knowing you have quite the deficit to overcome this year.
Oh, Aaron, there's no doubt about it. $340 million deficit is a big hole, and that equates as a picture for that. $340 million deficit equates to the entire amount of the statewide government minus education, health and welfare, and corrections. You take those three departments, education, health and welfare, and corrections, and that's 85%, just a little bit over 85% of the statewide general fund budget, and the rest of it, 14.7, 15%, is used to manage and run the rest of the state government. And that remaining part, about 15%, amazingly enough, equals $340 million. And so it's a pretty daunting task.
Budget's probably going to rule the agenda this year.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. That is our main issue. There's a few things out there that people are talking about. Health and Welfare Committee with their new chair, Janice McGeehan, is the committee is talking about having a copay, a sliding copay on Medicaid, as well as there's some other members. Dennis Lake is talking about bringing a tax increase on tobacco products as much as 250% tax. Some people are talking about eliminating the grocery tax credit. So all three of those things will be tax increases. So it'll be interesting to see the debate inside the committee, and if those proposals, if all three or if any, actually get out of the committee to get to the floor, so there can be a floor vote on it. It'll be interesting to see that.
I talked to you on the radio, and one thing you brought up was I've heard either a tax cut or to raise taxes, or not tax cut, but a spending cut, or to raise taxes. You say kind of a mixture of both.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That you're right. There has to be people look at it. You have to cut taxes to save $340 million, or you have to cut budgets to save $340 million, or you have to raise taxes. You have to increase revenue, or you have to cut budgets, or you can have a combination of both. And so we're going to see how the legislature looks at that and how it moves forward. And key, in my mind, will be the three things that I mentioned earlier as to how that Revenue and Tax Committee, as well as the Health and Welfare Committee, look at those three issues I mentioned earlier and how those committees respond to that, and whether those issues actually get out of committee. Education.
Tell me about how you're going to go about education. I mean, you mentioned how big of a chunk out of the general fund it pulls. Mm-hmm. We saw cuts of about 7% last session. Mm-hmm. What can educators expect this year?
There's going to be another cut to education. That's what the message has been. What that percentage will be, I do not know at this time. We'll just have to take one day at a time. It'll be as small as possible if I'm actually involved in that budget, as far as I'm concerned. But $340 million is a huge hole, as we have seen legislators across the nation have to deal with shrinking budgets. And another issue is retirements. Percy, can we continue to fund retirements that have been put into place? Those are discussions that are taking place right now. I don't mean to alarm anybody about their retirement, But as we move forward, can we continue to meet those demands, and how will we meet those demands? Those are things that we have to continue to, or begin to have a discussion and continue that discussion on.
You talked about Percy. Let's talk about Medicare and Medicaid. The federal government is really in a tough spot right now of where they're going to, and so they're putting a lot of that that burden on the states, and that's starting to really come about a little bit. How will the state of Idaho be able to do that in a year where cuts seem to be the order of the day?
That's what we're going to have to take a look at, Aaron. When we get over there next Monday, we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and start looking at each individual budget and how we can make this work. Last thing in my mind that we would want to do is continue down a road to where we are more dependent on the federal government. That's not going to help Idaho on a long-term basis at all, and so we have to come up with a solution that's viable for everyone in this state and move forward in that direction.
Where do you think this will overall? How do you think this session will end? Do you think it'll be one of those years where everyone's kind of gloom and doom, or do you think is there a manageable hope that we can come out of this with minor impacts to some of our state?
I think that's a good way that you put it, a manageable hope. We're going to leave there with a balanced budget. Our forefathers put that in our Constitution, and so that will happen. We will have that balanced budget. How that's going to look, nobody knows right now. One of the key factors that we have to consider is, where is our revenue at right now? Right now, through November, we're up about $30.1 million year to date. When you look at $350 million deficit, $30 million is small in comparison, but it's still a good amount of money. And so we will need to see where it is in January and February and how all that plays into that.
Some new members moving in now. I mean, you have to look at this kind of uniquely because you were one of them not too long ago.
Absolutely. 2009 was my first session, and the way I approach that is, I'm sure that new members that are new there this term will be approaching it, or already have, is to reach out to their committee chairs, ask them what they need to be working on, and so when we get there Monday, we start meeting. Well, like in health and welfare, there are numerous rules that you have to go through. There's so many that we divide the committee into 3 different groups and start going through those rules in 3 different groups that are from that committee. And so we'll have to go through those rules, and so as they start to learning that and seeing that, then they can become more valuable member of that committee a lot quicker by working with their chair as soon as possible.
How important is it for your constituents here in the Idaho Falls area to contact you and let you and some of your fellow constituents know what's in their minds as you guys head into
Aaron,
this?
it's extremely important. I mean, that's the constituents in District 33 calling and voicing their concerns is how I know what they would like me to look at an issue at. In other words, if I don't hear from them, then I don't know what they're thinking. So I need to know what they're thinking. So I encourage constituents to call, to send me an email, to reach out in any way possible. Call my home. My wife's there. She'll get a hold of me if they cannot, and therefore we'll know what their thoughts and concerns are, which is what this is all about. So.
Okay. Is there something that you'd like people to know about in this session that I may not have brought up?
Just stay tuned, look for updates, call us, communicate with us, be involved in the process. And I appreciate you, the voter, sending me to represent you, and I look forward to working hard and continue to represent you in this session.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.